Hello guys, this is Matt from Killerpimpgames, and I am going to bring you my top 5 favourite games of all time. This is a personal list. I'm not suggesting that you have to love all of these games as much as I do, but I do have a reasonably decent gaming taste. I'm not like, oh my god COD, oh my god Battlefield, oh my god Final Fantasy VII, etc, etc. Reason I'm doing this is because, well, Marco and Carl have already put up solo videos, so I may as well do that. Marco's doing his vlog, Kyle is done a few solo Borderlands videos, I believe. So yeah, I decided I'd make this video as well. Anyways, a couple of honorary mentions before I get on to the actual top 5 list of mine. One of my games that I really like that couldn't make it onto the list, sadly, because 5 is a very limited number of games. One of them is Silent Hill 3. I love the game because Heather Mason's probably one of my favourite survival horror protagonists ever. I do quite enjoy the plot with the Order or the Cult. And it's probably the scariest in the Silent Hill series, actually. Significantly scarier than Silent Hill 2, anyway. And of course, I just generally love the survival horror genre, and the first 3, maybe 4, 5 Silent Hill games really epitomise the genre in a good way. Another one that I really like but isn't able to get onto the list is GTA Vice City, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I actually, this might be a unpopular opinion, but I actually prefer Vice City to San Andreas. It's just, Tommy Vercetti's such a badass, and he's like great, and you know, it's not like, it's more like 80s oriented and not like trying to like represent the black stereotype so much. And just generally, I just have the personal opinion that I prefer Vice City to San Andreas. Again, there's also BlazBlue, which is my personal favourite fighter series. It's got some pretty badass characters in it. Ragnar, Jin, I guess, Noelle, Makoto with her fluffy tail. It's pretty hype. Check it out if you haven't heard of it. And of course, I also like a fair majority of the MGS series. I do like games that you have to like think about rather than just running in a bomb. MGS is one of those games, of course, with the heavy emphasis on stealth. The story and the cutscenes like really help you get involved with the whole thing. And of course, Snake is incredibly awesome. I know Raiden isn't, but you know, every game has its like meh protagonist occasionally. Like Silent Hill has, I guess, probably James, kind of. And, well, Eddie's a bit of a shitty character in Silent Hill 2 as well. Oh god, Eddie. But anyways, so on to the actual list. Number 5 on my favourite games of all time is The Binding of Isaac. I actually Golden Godded this game recently, which is an achievement which you get for 100%ing the game in terms of collecting items. And, it's kind of a small group party. Well, Platinum God's even smaller, but that's with Wrath of the Lamb, which I haven't got yet. Basically, I love this game so much. It's got so much replay value, it's insane. I've played the game for over 50 hours according to my Steam, and I am still not bored of it. That's how brilliant the replay value is. Every run through you do is different than your last, and basically that means that you can get some interesting runs, and you are likely, and there's always a chance that something will catch you off guard no matter how many times you've played it. Speaking of catching you off guard, the difficulty in The Binding of Isaac's another thing that appeals to me for it, because of the fact that it's actually moderately difficult. Modern games lack real difficulty these days. It's not got any checkpoints whatsoever. It's short, so it's about 50 minutes, 1 hour max for every playthrough or so. But that's only if you finish the playthrough. There's no cuts. There's no checkpoints whatsoever, so you can't just start from where you last, like the last floor or something. You have to do it all in one playthrough. And if you die, then that's it. You die, and you have to start from the very beginning. Creatures are likely to hit you as well. It's not exactly an easy game, and you could compare it to old school Zelda in the way that it's in the way of its difficulty and its like system. Also, I'd say it's more I'd compare it in difficulty probably to Dark Souls. You gotta have a learning curve for it, and Demon Souls. But yeah, learning curve. If you get the hang of it, then you'll become good at it, and you'll probably enjoy it as much as I do. But it's not for everyone, especially those casual gamers who really can't do like incredibly difficult things. My number 4 on this list, I'm going to give to Fatal Frame 2: The Crimson Butterfly. Now, some of you may know that I am doing a Let's Play of the remake on the Wii. I loved the original. Again, it's survival horror, so generally I love that sort of thing. There are a few exceptions to like games that are survival horror that I don't like or hate, but for the most part I really love the survival horror genre. And Fatal Frame is actually the last remaining iconic survival horror title that has not completely gone to shit. In my view, the pioneers of survival horror are Silent Hill, of course, Resident Evil, of course, and Fatal Frame. Those are the 3 that are pretty much definitive for the genre. And as you know, since Resident Evil 5, people have been a bit iffy with Resident Evil. It kind of changed away from actual survival horror around about Resident Evil 4. Silent Hill, trying to cling on to being a survival horror that's scary, but it's not doing the best job of it. Downpour was very lacking in monster designs and really decent scares because of those monster designs, and Homecoming just really didn't have the atmosphere, and the monster designs in Homecoming were fantastic, but it just really lacked Silent Hill feel. And in both of those games, the combat system was awful. I mean, yeah, fair enough, it was awful in all of them, but it's worse in those 2. But yeah, Fatal Frame, throughout its entire like lifespan, it's pretty much stuck to its roots. It's stayed survival horror, and it's also pretty unique in the way of combat, where you have to actually take pictures of your enemies, which are ghosts. That means that you have to like actually probably wait till the scariest moment of like combat in order to like try and defeat these ghosts and take pictures. Also bringing on, it's scary as hell. I cry like a bitch during most survival horror games, and this is no exception. Fatal Frame is pretty terrifying, and it's good for anyone who likes survival horror. Number 3 on my list is Rayman 3. Yeah, kind of surprising, I guess, considering all the games that I've listed so far in my honorary mentions and my 5 and 4. But yeah, I really like the Rayman series. I grew up with the Rayman series, adored it back then. I actually didn't finish Rayman 3 until about, 4 months ago? And I regret not finishing it until then, because it was probably the most fun I've had in a while replaying through Rayman 3. Personally, I think it's better than Rayman 2. I think Rayman 2's a bit overrated. But hey ho. I also really generally like the new Rayman games that are coming out, like Rayman Origins, Rayman Legends. Hate the Rabbids stuff. That's pretty much it, really. But yeah, Rayman 3, probably one of the funnest games I've had. Surprisingly challenging final boss. It has about 4 forms, I believe, if I recall. And yeah, it's actually surprisingly challenging for a game like Rayman. Also, another thing in Rayman 3 is that the worlds that you travel from are beautifully designed and they're just nice to look at, really. It's just a really nice environment. And yeah, I really enjoy the Rayman series and especially Rayman 3. Number 2 on my list of my top 5 favourite games of all time is Resident Evil Remake. Yes, the remake of the first Resident Evil. I really enjoy the remake when I played through it, and of course we're let's playing it now, me and Carl separately. Basically, remake improved on the original Resident Evil in every way, especially annoyingly enough in voice acting. I know some people loved the cheesy voice acting, but yeah, it's got much stronger atmosphere of remake does, and it's actually generally more scarier than the original Resident Evil. And I actually personally think it's the scariest Resident Evil game ever made. That is my personal opinion about remake. Some people may debate that and say Resident Evil 2 and 3 are scarier because of the likes of Mr. X and Nemesis with their stalking prowess. But I just personally think that Remake is much scarier because it even manages to scare people who played the original Resident Evil. And that's quite some impressive to do, generally, because of the remade scenes, and they even added areas into Remake, like the tomb in the crypt in the garden. I think that Remake was probably one of Capcom's better decisions in the last few years, actually. Capcom have kind of gone down the shitter recently with some of their decisions. I actually believed that they were just killing the lifeblood of some of their most beloved series and just feeding it into Resident Evil 6 as part of a giant gamble. But yeah, Remake, even though this was like over 10 years ago now, I actually think this was probably one of their best decisions ever, remaking the original Resident Evil and like redoing it. And finally, my number 1 favourite game of all time, Persona 4. Yeah, basically, I was brought this game last year around about October time, and I finished it about October time this year. Because I was a bit on and off with it throughout because I was stuck in small areas a little bit, but I managed to get past those eventually. But anyways, I personally think that Persona 4 is somewhat of a masterpiece. I think that Atlus is probably one of the best gaming companies of the modern generation with some of their games. The battle system in Persona 4 has improved is definitely an improvement from what I hear, or from compared to Persona 3. I've never played Persona 3, sadly, and I hope to play Persona 3 soon. I'm getting Fez for Christmas. But I've heard that the battle system is probably much more simple in Persona 4 than it is in 3. It's improved, from what I've heard, it's improved from 3 in quite a lot of ways. The characters in Persona 4 are very lovable. They all have their own social links, of course, so you kind of like learn to understand them and like understand what they're going through. And depending on whether you like what's going on or not, then you can learn to like love them and stuff. And yeah, there's quite a lot of characters that are amazingly fun in the in Persona. Like I'm going to name a couple. Risei's social link was really fun for me. Yukiko's social link was really fun for me. I quite liked Dojima's. And there was also one that I didn't get to do enough of, which was probably the nurse, Sayoko's. That's Social Link. But anyways, it's also got a fantastic soundtrack, which actually comes free with the game. Well, most of it does anyway. But yeah, if you want like the entire thing, you probably have to buy it for cheap. But they give you like a majority of the soundtrack free with the game. And Persona 4 Golden, which is out now, adds so much more features and a couple of new social links and new scenarios as well. So if I had a PS Vita, I'd be all over P4 Golden, but because I don't own a Vita, I can't really get it. But yeah, but the Persona 4 is probably my favourite game of all time at the moment. I'm probably also going to mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I also really like Final Fantasy VI in my honorary mentions, and also Chrono Trigger. Two amazing RPGs, probably defined the genre back in the 90s. And, yeah. That's my top 5 favourite games of all time, and this has been Matt from Killerpimpgames, signing out.